Here's where it manifests from. There's three main types of power. One is lack of dependence. How many of you are familiar with the term BATNA? Only a few of you. Oh, wow. This is a game changer right here. It stands for Best Alternative to a Negotiated Agreement. Best alternative to a negotiated agreement. Here's what that means. If they don't have much of an alternative, if doing nothing is not an option and you've got the best opportunity, you have power. Second, roles and titles. Roles and titles. You don't think roles and titles mean something? All of a sudden you get a call from the senior vice president of procurement and throws out that kind of title. Or president, CEO that you're negotiating with, and your title says account executive, and you feel like one. That would be lack of equal business stature is going to catch up with you. Last one, psychological power. How's your pipeline? How much do you have? You committed. Oh, if this one doesn't come through, no big deal. Guess what? You have more power. Oh my gosh, I need this one to hit my number. How are you going to feel going into that negotiation situation? So you've got to first think about your wiring. Think about how much power do I have going into these situations. I'm going to do a quick assessment for you. A quick assessment. We've been talking a lot about AI, artificial intelligence. I want you to think about your NI, your negotiations intelligence. If I were to sit down and ask you all the things you know about sales and selling, my belief is you all could give me a lot of good information. But what about negotiations? Have you studied it? Have you looked at it? Because I firmly believe this is one of the biggest silent suctions of profitability out of an organization and a company, and it does not get trained enough. And that's coming from talking to a lot of different sales leaders. So I want you to do a quick assessment on yourself. I'm going to show you 5 key behaviors, internal behaviors, and I want to have you give yourself a scale of 0 to 10, and I'll describe each of these. The first one is conflict. How do you deal with conflict? Give yourself on a scale of 0 to 10. Here's the difference. If you're low, 1, 2, 3, you don't like conflict. You're conflict avoidance kind of person. You would rather have somebody else negotiate for you, and you try to pull them in. If you're a 10, 9, 8, 9, or 10, and I recognize some people here in the room, that's you. You're the one that's usually causing the conflict. If I don't have conflict in my life, I am unfulfilled, right? So give yourself a score. Next, assertiveness. How assertive are you? On the weaker end, it's you kind of pull back. On the top end, you're more on the dominating side. You have a high sense of assertiveness, even to the point of aggressiveness. Give yourself a score. Ego. Ego. Self-confidence versus self-deprecating. If you're low, you're more on the self-deprecating, I don't know if I even belong here, I'm not sure how to handle this. If you're high, nobody else can fit in the room with you. 8 or 9 is pretty good here. But having that confidence going into a situation, how you're internally wired is going to affect you. Competitiveness. This is an easy one. Competitiveness. If you couldn't tell me over the past year that you've competed for something, I don't care if it's a buck or two on the golf course, or you play darts, or you do something that puts you in a competitive situation, you're probably pretty low. But if you're always looking to compete and, and have been raised by 2 brothers like I was, everything's a competition. I finished my food faster than you did. Everything's a competition. How competitive are you? Give yourself a score. And then last one, emotional composure. If you're low, 0, 1, 2, 3, you're flipping out. And here's what this also means. After they give you something, you may hold yourself emotionally composure for a moment, but then all of a sudden, phones are flying. How dare they? And now you get yourself into an emotional situation when you try to go back in and negotiate. Give yourself a scale, 0 to 10. Take a look at this. Take a look. Which one is an area that you think, I probably need to work on a little bit better? Because this internal wiring clicks in that moment that person calls you and starts the negotiation. That's what takes over first. You negotiate how you feel. We'll get to the tactics, but you negotiate how you feel, and I want you to really wire that in there. And those of you that are sales leaders in the room, I want you to think, I wonder where my team all ranks on this. Because it comes into play when they're coming to you and they have become the best negotiators internally for the prospect they have than negotiating for the company.
Thank you for watching this highlight video from the Sandler Summit. You can join us for the next Sandler Summit in 2024, March 19th and 20th at the Orlando World Center Marriott. Register now at sandler.com/summit.